is up, everyone? Thank you so much for joining me. This week, I have the 2019 Toyota Land Cruiser. Basically, to sum this car up, it is one of the most capable three-row SUVs that you can get, but most importantly, since it is a Toyota, it is one of the most reliable and capable three-row SUVs that money can buy. Other than going to the Lexus LX 570, which is basically the mechanical twin to this vehicle, this is gonna have better approach, departure angles, and it's just gonna be an overall better vehicle in terms of stealth wealth. So if you don't want a lot of people to know and you don't want to be real flashy about the fact that you have the money to afford this vehicle, which comes in right at around $88,000. You guys can see the exact MSRP on the bottom of the screen. It's just a really interesting vehicle. It's almost a dinosaur in the sense of it still has a solid rear axle, and it's just very old school in everything about it. I mean, just looking at the car right now, you guys can see there's nothing super fancy about it. It doesn't look like it would cost almost $90,000, but it is an extremely over-engineered and well-built vehicle. So starting with this color, you guys can see it's got a really nice pearl effect to it. If I can zoom in here for you guys. But it looks really, really nice, especially out here in the sunlight. Now coming to the front, they did redo the front end ever so slightly for the 2019 year model, so you guys can see here. It looks pretty good. I like the way the front end looks. Once again, it's not too flashy. It's not really in your face like the LX version, which has got that massive, massive front grille. But coming down here in the bottom, you do have some recovery hooks down there, if you guys can see those. There we go. You can have your fog lamps. You're gonna have full LEDs on this thing. So you have LED daytime running lights, LED high, low beams. Only things that are not going to be LEDs are going to be your turn signals. But it's a really nice vehicle. We've got a pretty large grille right here, but once again, it's not too in your face, not too crazy. You have this glossed over emblem because this does have the Toyota safety features on here, which is really nice. Now coming up to the hood, you've got a real nice aggressive bulge to it. I'm not sure if you guys can really see it here, but you sort of have this almost oval shape that comes here, and you can really see it a lot clearer when you're sitting behind the driver's seat. It's actually more prominent behind the wheel than it is from the outside. But it's a pretty nice looking vehicle. I really like the way it looks. And yeah, so coming to the wheels, going to have 17-inch wheels on this thing, so definitely not big wheels. The tires are decent. They're just, you know, Dunlop, what are these, Grand Treks. I've never even heard of Dunlop Grand Treks, but this is what it has. Once again, pretty simplistic all around. Nothing too crazy going on here. You do have your running boards right down here as well. A little bit of chrome accenting down here. Chrome accenting going on the bottom portion of the window. But you guys can see it's got a real massive profile to it. Have some crossbars up here. Now coming to the back of the Land Cruiser, once again, very simplistic, but you can just tell it's a very boxy vehicle. Now that is also very good for visibility. So the visibility inside of this car is excellent. So that is one of the best features about having the boxy style vehicles. A lot of cars nowadays are going away from the boxy style and they're going to more aerodynamic, going to more sleek designs, and because of that you do lose visibility, you do lose storage space, headroom, things like that. So this still keeps that traditional boxy SUV style. Now back here you have your lights, which look pretty good at night. A chrome accent running all along the bottom right here. It says Land Cruiser right there in the middle. And yeah, it's pretty decent. You've got, let's see, it's got some sensors down here. You even have your spare tire underneath, right down there, if you guys can see that. All right, so the coolest thing has to go to the Land Cruiser's keys. You guys can see there, it's got some tread marks on the back and it says Land Cruiser. And the rest of the key is really nice. Got some nice gloss to it. You have your lock, your unlock, your trunk release, and your panic button. And yeah, it's a pretty good key, so you can use the key to get into the car, or if you walk up to the door handle, you are going to have keyless entry, so there's a little ribbed pattern right here, and you put your finger there. That's gonna lock the car, and then there's a touchpad right behind it, and that'll unlock the car. All right, starting at the door of the Toyota Land Cruiser, you guys can see here, you are going to have 3 memory seat settings along with this really nice wood here. I can get a good look at it. It's really, really nice. You even have like real brushed aluminum, and it's some pretty quality stuff. Really nice. Now the leather behind here is going to be perforated leather, and this handle is probably one of the sturdiest handles I've ever felt. It's pretty insane. You also have this really soft leather here. I mean, like, seriously, it is just ridiculously soft. Little contrast stitching right there. All of your window, door locks. A little bit of cubby space down here. Of course, the speaker there for your JBL sound system. You even have an area here that says Land Cruiser. It still looks pretty good during the day, and you guys can see it still has that really nice brushed aluminum look to it. It's so impressive. Of course, all of your seat controls. More quality leather here, which has the softest grain to it. It is insane. Perforations going through the middle of the seat all the way up top. All right, so in the inside of the Toyota Land Cruisers, you guys can see it's nice, but it's still pretty simple. So easy to start as long as you have the key inside the car. You push your foot in the brake, and you're gonna push this button here to start. All right, so once the Land Cruiser is started, you guys can see the steering wheel on this thing looks awesome. The leather quality is really nice, so very high quality steering wheel. You guys can see the stitching right there. Looks really, really good. Now, one thing is that you do have this like matte wood on the bottom and on the top. That looks really nice, and it's really smooth. It doesn't have that gloss over it, so it doesn't make it feel like you're in a very, very old car. It actually feels a little bit more, I guess, modern in a way. You've got this nice stitching going along the center area where the horn is, your Toyota symbol right here. Even these buttons over here are going to be like really thick, high quality aluminum. And then you have your different modes, your voice commands, your volume, up and down, previous, next, phone commands right here. And then over to the right, you're going to have all of your buttons to control your center screen. You do also have adaptive cruise and then lane keep assist down here as well. So it's a pretty well-equipped vehicle, even though it does seem bare in a lot of people's eyes. Now coming back here to the stalks, you have automatic wipers. Now you're also going to have automatic headlights. Your fog lamps going to be right here. Now the screen right here, you guys will recognize this screen from the Lexus LX. It's basically the exact same screen. You've got all of your dials to the left, speedometer to the right, and then in the middle, that's where I would then use these buttons to control this screen basically. So I can scroll up, down, go through all kinds of different screens. You even have this screen, which is really cool. So if you are doing off-roading and you turn the wheel, it actually shows you, it'll refocus, sorry. It actually shows you what angle your wheel's at. If you guys can see it working there, ever so slightly, but it's pretty cool. It's definitely useful if you were taking this off-road. Really cool feature right there. And you have your compass, music, and then all of your other things you can control through here. So pretty simplistic, but it's still very nice. Now over here to the left, you do have a little bit more controls here. So you have this button, which is going to be a spray for your headlights. Super cool, but unfortunately it's like not working right now. I'm not sure if I'm not doing something right, but I press it, I hold it, nothing I do will make it turn on. But you do have parking sensors right here. Automatic high beams. This button is to pull in or pull out your mirrors. So you push that, they fold in, and you push it up and they fold right back out. So pretty nice. Mirror controls to adjust your mirrors right there. More of that really nice wood here. You guys can see it looks really nice with aluminum accenting the underneath of it. You are going to have your interior illumination right here. Trip odometer button right back there. You've got a speaker over here, 2 speakers as a matter of fact. This entire dash is going to be soft touch plastic, so it feels really nice. You have another speaker right up here. Now the center screen is pretty decent. It's not the best screen I've ever used, but it works. It does what it's supposed to do, and it's pretty neat. Now this is a little bit old school, but I kind of like it. I kind of like the way that this looks. It reminds me of like older luxury vehicles, and since this is technically a luxury vehicle, even if it is still branded as a Toyota, it just, I don't know, something about it, I like it. I think it really fits the feel of the car. Now seeing it in video or hearing about it or seeing other people talk about it, it may not seem as impressive, but in person it just fits. I don't know what it does, it just fits. Now one cool part is you have more of that brushed aluminum here, but it looks the most prominent right here on the sides. It is crazy. And you can tell it's real because it's right next to the vent, and if you feel it, it's got this really cold feel to it, which is really cool. And all your knobs and stuff are just really beefy, like heavy knobs. And once again, more of that stainless steel. I'm like obsessed with that. It looks pretty cool. But yeah, all the switchgear and everything just looks really, really nice. And then down here, you have a wireless charger. Let me move this out of the way so you guys can see there. But you have a wireless charger, so you put your phone in there. It does its thing, it charges for you. The only thing is that it's like inside, and if you have a pretty big phone, it doesn't fit all the way in there. So that is a little interesting. Now you do have heated, cooled seats for both passengers, but you also have a heated steering wheel right down here. USB and auxiliary port right over here. Now coming back a little bit, you do have your shifter. Now the shifter is very old school shifter. This is like old school Lexus stuff, but it works. It's got a real nice sturdy feel to it, so you guys can hear just going through the gates how solid that thing sounds. It's pretty crazy. You throw it into reverse. You have a backup camera that comes up with a 360-degree camera. Pretty nice. You can change the views and things like that. And if I put it back into drive, you also have another camera button located right here. If I push that, then you can see your front view, and if you push it one more time, you can see your side view, which is really cool when you're going off-roading. You can see if there's rocks close to the vehicle, and if you hit the front version of the camera, it's helpful to see what obstacles are coming up. The only downside is that the resolution is so bad on this thing, it's super grainy, that it's probably not as accurate of a camera, so it's kind of hard to rely on, but it's cool that it's still there. You do have a still manual parking brake right here, ECT power, ECT second. You have your traction control, your center lock. You are going to have crawl control right here, and you have your management terrain system, so you can choose what kind of terrain when you're in 4 low. You can't do it unless you are in 4 low. So right now, as you guys can see, it's always in 4 high, but you can push it, turn it to the left, and that will put you into 4 low. I'm not going to do it right now, but if you guys don't know how to do it, very simple. Throw it into neutral. I'm going to push this down, flick it all the way to 4 low, and then at that point, all of this stuff will come up here, and 4 low will show up right down there. Then at that point, I can switch through my different settings. So I have mogul, loose rock, rock and dirt, rock, and I think we have mud somewhere. There we go, mud and sand. So that's pretty cool. And then at that point, you can then activate your crawl control, and then this little guy, which basically helps the vehicle turn tighter if you're on tight trails. Another cool thing, you also have this that comes up, so it shows you at what angle the vehicle's at, and then your cameras automatically come up, your front camera and your side camera. So that's super, super cool. I think that's very thoughtful, very helpful. And then to throw it back, you just push down once again, flick to the right, then everything turns off. Put it back in a drive, and you're good to go like normal. So that's it for that. Cup holders, pretty good size. You could definitely fit like 2 cups of coffee, anything like that inside of here. No issues. Once again, I love how this entire area is literally just pure aluminum. It's pretty crazy. Now the armrest is pretty good size. You guys can see just how soft it is right there. You can see the leather like moving with my fingers. Stitching right here. Now you lift up this first portion, and you've got a very, very shallow, small area. Lift up the second area. You have a cooler, which is awesome. I've got a monster in there right now, and it's just keeping it cold, cooling away. Coolest thing ever, and you can turn it on and off with this here. It's only one setting, so that is still pretty neat to have. So the only downside is you don't have an actual armrest to like put things in, so you either have a cooler or you have nothing. So you can technically turn the cooler off, stick things in there, but then if you wanted to put something cold in there, you'd have to take your items out and then put your item in there that you wanted cool. So that's kind of frustrating. Here over here on the side, you've got all of this leather just running all along the bottom. You guys can see it over here as well. That's pretty cool. You do have more buttons over here. So you have your hatch lift, and then you have your forward collision warning, which is pretty much it for that side. You do have your glove box, which you can still lock, which is nice. Auto dimming mirror with your home link located right underneath there. Sunglass holder. And then you do have LED lights. These look really nice. Vanity mirror. And then you have your sunroof right here. So very decently equipped vehicle. Even for $88,000, I think it really has everything that you would need in terms of having the luxuries of driving. So let's go ahead and hop in the back seat and check out the room. All right, so sitting in the back seat of the Land Cruiser, I've got a good amount of room. So the front seat is set to my driving position. I'm 6 feet tall. As you guys can see, I have about 3.5 to 4 inches of legroom. Pretty good amount of legroom, not bad at all. Now the seats do recline and move forwards and backwards, so I have it at its furthest setting, but I pull this tab here and I can scoot it forward, scoot it backwards. I can even recline the seat. So this is pretty much all the way reclined, and I have tons of headroom at the furthest setting. I mean, once again, that's like 3.5 to 4 inches of headroom. Even if I went to the most upright setting, I still have like 2.5 inches of headroom. It's pretty crazy. Once again, that's the benefit of having a real boxy vehicle. Now, one thing I do want to point out is these screens right here. Really cool. So first of all, you guys can see you have this leather cover over it. It says Land Cruiser. It's like some of the softest material I've ever felt. So if you take this cover off, you have your screen right there. So pretty cool. If you fold down the armrest, you are going to have the remote for that screen. So you lift this up. You've got your remote here, which you guys can see is like it's in its own little casing. You lift it up and it's got its own little area that you stick the remote in. You push the power button, turns right on. One thing you guys can notice though is that it has a ton of glare on the screen. So I do wish Toyota would have included like some window shades back here. That'll take away a lot of that glare, especially if you're back here watching a movie. You don't want to have to be dealing with that all the time. This specific car does have the windows tinted, but even still, you do still have a lot of glare that kind of goes over the screen. It's not super ideal. But if you put that back in here, you guys can see you have a little bit of storage space here as well. You have an area that you can put a phone on, but it's very, very shallow. It doesn't have any sort of good grip on it, so your phone would really just slide around everywhere. Soft armrest, nicely padded. It's weirdly shaped, so putting your arm on it is kind of like strange because it's really low, so you kind of have to lean on it a little bit. But yeah, that's pretty interesting. You do also have a very flat floor, so the floor right here is very, very flat. One other cool thing is that you have your own vents for your feet and for your legs down here. So if you guys can see, you have a vent right here which is going to blow air on your legs. So if you're wearing shorts, it's a real hot day in the summer, you can crank up the AC, it's blowing air all over your legs, your feet. Probably feels amazing. You do have heated seats back here on both outboard passengers. You have 2 settings, high and low. You're going to have volume there for your headphone jacks, HDMI port, 12 volt way down here, and then of course all of your AC controls with your vents. You even have your own headphones that go with the screens that say Toyota on them. Pretty cool wireless Bluetooth headphones. Of course, 2 map pockets back here. You do have LED lighting back here as well, and then you're also going to have a little handle right here, but the cool part is that this area in the middle is like super soft. It's interesting, but it feels really, really cool, and it even has this sort of like soft closing feature to it, which is pretty nice. But yeah, overall it's a pretty spacious cabin. It feels really good, really comfortable, especially being 6 feet tall. If you're above 6 feet, like 6'2", 6'3", you should be able to fit back here pretty comfortably, especially on a long trip. So let's go ahead and check out the third row and see the room back there. All right, so coming to the back seat of the Land Cruiser, to get into the third row is really simple. So you pull this lever, it folds down, you pull it again, it's gonna fold all the way up. Though this screen does get in the way, as you guys can see there, it sort of hits it. I even had to move the seat forward, that way it didn't completely take off the screen. But you do have a step right here, and that's gonna help you get into the third row. So 6 feet tall, climbing in the third row. right, so sitting behind this seat, I actually have a decent amount of room. I could probably pull this back a little bit if I needed to. So even still, sitting back here, I'm not uncomfortable, so that's the most important thing. So if the person in front of me was a little bit generous, scooted forward just a little bit, tilted their seat forward just a little bit, I would be very comfortable back here, especially on a pretty long trip. The only thing is I don't have a ton of headroom. So you guys can see here, my hair is just like squishing up against the roof right here. But you do have a third seat belt right here for any passengers that are going to attempt to sit in the middle. You do have an option for a third headrest right here, but as you guys can see, it's not here to help visibility and things like that. The seats still have the same perforation, same nice leather feel to them. You do have cup holders on both sides. You have two over here, and you have two over here, along with a little like storage area, but you don't have any sort of USBs or anything to plug into back here. That's the only thing. It's pretty bare, pretty basic, pretty minimum. And then you have your vents and then your handles here as well. So it's cool that even the third row has handles, because if you were taking this off-road with the entire family, even the people in the third row have something to hold on to, which is pretty cool. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for the interior of the Land Cruiser. Let's go ahead and check out the trunk and see how much space we have. All right, so coming to the back of the Land Cruiser, so once you have the top open, the bottom part is super cool. So all you do is you pull this little tab, and then that will fold down automatically, and then you have this sort of like picnic area that you can sit on, and it's super cool. The other cool part is right underneath here you are going to have a little toolkit, which is really nice, so that definitely comes in handy. And then over here you don't have another toolkit, you just have a different area to store your toolkit. So if you don't like having it on the right side, you can put it on the left side, I guess. But yeah, it's really nice. It feels really good. So the seats are up right now, as you guys can see there. Now they do fold up in that weird fashion because you do have the differential down here, so the seats aren't able to go like in the vehicle, if that makes sense. So this is what Toyota came up with, and it's pretty cool. The LX has the same exact design, but to put the seats down, it's actually really easy. So there's a latch right here. You're gonna pull that, and that basically unlocks the seat. And click it down just like that. Same thing over here. And then you grab this guy, pull it up just like that, and then the same thing over here. There you go. Headrest, headrest. And then to put it down, basically do the exact opposite. So push that forward, you're gonna pull this, but then as you're pulling it, you're gonna basically push forward. Same thing over here, pull, push forward. And then from here, it's actually pretty easy. Forgot to fold the headrest down, sorry. There we go. Then you're gonna pull this, up they go. Just like that, super easy. And you can fit a lot back here, which is pretty impressive. So as a matter of fact, I'm gonna make my Sam's run, throw some stuff back here. I'm gonna show you guys exactly how much space we have in the back of this Land Cruiser. I'm gonna put all of this stuff into the Land Cruiser, and we're gonna see if it fits. Alright, so just for proof, we were literally able to fit like everything in here without even folding the second row. So the second row is still intact. I folded it down just in case, but like I can easily fold this up, and yeah, pretty nuts. Alright, so under the hood of the Land Cruiser, you have a 5.7 liter double overhead cam V8. This thing is massive, and it's gonna pump out 381 horsepower, 401 pound-feet of torque. Now, because it's such a big vehicle, because you've got this massive V8, it's not gonna get the best fuel economy. So you're talking 13 in the city, 18 on the highway. So definitely a pretty big hit if you're a fuel economy person, but if you can afford the gas on this thing, it's definitely one of the smoothest V8s I've ever driven. You guys will see that in just a second. But yeah, as you guys know, it's going to a permanent four-wheel drive system. So it's always in 4 high, but you do have the option to put into 4 low, things like that. and it's made it to an 8-speed automatic transmission. So you can shift it on the little gear lever, but other than that, it's a pretty good transmission, pretty good package overall. So let's go ahead and get on the road and see how it does. All right, so driving the 2019 Toyota Land Cruiser. You know, it's funny because this is one of those vehicles that is almost legendary to the point that I can't really believe I'm driving one. You know, there's a few vehicles that, you know, when I think about them, I'm just like, man, I don't think I would ever like be able to drive one of those. And this is one of those vehicles, just because press fleets really don't get them in often, and getting your hands on one of these at a Toyota dealership is nearly impossible. They're basically like order only, and then if they are on the lot, it's for a day before the owner gets there to pick up his brand new Land Cruiser. Other than that, it's very, very hard to get behind the wheel of a brand new Land Cruiser. So for that, I'm just very thankful. So just want to say I'm thankful to you guys for watching. I just wouldn't be able to do this channel without you. Wouldn't be able to drive any of these vehicles without your support. And so now, because of your support, I'm driving 2019 Land Cruiser. Now, once again, it's not really that special of a car, but it is. If you're in the know and you know what this car is capable of, if you know what the $88,000 for this SUV is buying you, then you completely understand my excitement for this machine. Now, first of all, I want to say that the power delivery in here is absolutely effortless. This V8 literally feels like it runs on like double whipped cream. It is insane how smooth this engine is. The other thing is that it's obviously very quiet in here, and you can feel that the car has a sort of, I guess, athleticism to it. And what I mean by that is it doesn't feel easily disrupted. You can hit like a big bump, you can hit some weird changes in the ground. So on pavement, this thing isn't bothered by anything at all. So if you're not off-road, this thing will not be affected by anything that you come across on your everyday commute. I can guarantee you that. That's one of the best things about it. So right now, I'm driving on this back road, and it's, you know, pretty bumpy. They actually redid it a few years ago, but for the most part, it's a back road with a little bit of gravel on it, and it's got some weird, funky undulations in the road. And you know, usually if I were in any other car, I'd be getting beat up on this road. But in this Land Cruiser, it's just absolutely smooth, it's effortless, it's fantastic. It turns really well. As a matter of fact, the turning radius is a lot better than I would have thought on this car. The TRD Pro Tacoma I just drove had a worse turning radius than this does. So this feels like a smart car in comparison to that Tacoma, which had a pretty bad turning radius. I love how you have a handle right here. As a matter of fact, there's a few cars that are intended for off-roading that don't have this. And I'm by no means a professional when it comes to off-roading, but I do know that when I'm being tossed around, I kind of want something to hold on to. And when it doesn't have this, I'm kind of upset about it, just because I usually use this to hold on while I'm like steering, if that makes sense. Once again, I'm not a professional, not sure if I should even be doing that, but it really helps me not be thrown around a lot, and I just like doing it. I don't know. It's just extremely good at everything it's built to do. It does everything it's built to do very well. And it's just a tactile machine. If you like that, you know, really nice, solid, sturdy feel, if you're used to German vehicles, as a matter of fact, this is probably one of the only Japanese vehicles you would enjoy driving. It is just, man, it is so good. All right, so it is a Land Cruiser, so I'm gonna take it, not necessarily super off-road, like I just did with the Tacoma TRD Pro. You can click the card up in this corner if you guys want to watch that. But I'm just gonna take it on some few steep hills, see how it does. But so hill number 1, I'm gonna go down, and it does pretty good. I mean, this is a pretty steep little incline right here. Ooh. Nice. Now I'm gonna go back up the incline, but I'm gonna go on a slightly steeper area of it. See how it does there. And I'm not in 4 high, or I'm sorry, I'm not in 4 low or anything. I'm in 4 high, so the drive settings, you only have 4 high and 4 low, and that's it. I don't have crawl control on, I don't have anything on, I don't have anything locked. This is just 4 high, and it's doing an incredible, incredible job. Oh, it's pretty crazy. It's nice and easy, and that's it. It's pretty impressive. This thing is pretty cool. Well, everyone, thank you so much for watching. That is going to end my review of the 2019 Toyota Land Cruiser. This thing is expensive for a reason, but I can honestly say that if you are looking for a vehicle that is comfortable, that can off-road like some of the best, and has a reputation for being possibly one of the most reliable 3-row SUVs on the planet, $88,000 honestly doesn't even seem like enough. Toyota could easily charge $100,000. They could charge as much as the Lexus LX, and there will probably still be people that will be willing to buy this SUV. It's that good. But yeah, if you guys have the money and if you're in the market for something very specific like this, I would highly suggest taking one out for a drive and snatching one up, because who knows how much longer these vehicles are going to be in production. It's definitely unique. It's definitely something that flies super under the radar, but I guarantee you the people that see this thing will appreciate it so much, and you will get so much respect from the people who know what this car is capable of. Thank you guys so much for watching. Y'all take care, and I'll see y'all next review.